It's the start of another year, and it's another year where I'm going, oh, I need to try to read more for my New Year's resolution. However, I've been doing this for the past few years. Life gets in the way, job, family, friends, dating, health, everything just seems to be getting in the way of reading so much. So I decided to sit down and have like a set reading goals for this year specifically, just so it's a bit more specific and attainable, just to try and kickstart a habit that's going to get me like reading more books. Especially last year, I only read 54 books, which is like one a week. I know some weeks I read more than that, some weeks I was reading nothing, and I would just like to get into a habit of reading at least a book a week, but hopefully more, and reading every day as well. My first resolution is to read 100 books next year. Like I said, I've read 54 last year. Previous years I've read like 70, 100, 75, things like that. So I'm really aiming for 100, like 2 a week is kind of the sweet spot for me. Obviously I'd do more on like weeks where like I'm not doing as much. I'd probably do less if I was really packed, but 100 is where I'm aiming for. I'm also including like big fantasy books, but also like smaller comics and graphic novels as well. I do have quite a lot. I also have like loads, I don't know if you can see them, I have loads of like little mini penguin classics which I need to read as well. So yeah, that's what I'm going for. Speaking of classics, I don't think you can see the top shelf behind me, but I want to read some of the classics that I already own, because I've realised I have a lot. They're a large proportion of the books that I own and the genre that I own. However, I haven't actually finished reading a lot of them. So in 2023, I'm going to make a conscious effort to start reading classics every month, just to try and read what's on my shelves and try to get into the headspace of like reading classic literature a bit more. I don't know if you can see it up there, but if you can't, head down and look at my TBR list, which is in my blog post in the description if you want. And if you did want me to talk more about classics on this channel, let me know. I'm not a big classic reader, but I do own a lot, so I can definitely like do thoughts, discussions, and like do all that as well. My third resolution, I think I already mentioned it, but I want to read daily. I already do read daily. I always read before bed, and I normally read when I'm commuting on the train or anything. However, there have been a few times this year where I've been on the train or I've just got into bed and I just have no energy to do anything apart from just like sit there or fall asleep. So this year I really want to make a conscious effort not only to read daily on like those places, but also like put time aside in my day to read that isn't to send me to sleep or to do something on the train. Like actually like, oh, I'm going to finish work at 6, so I'm going to spend an hour reading before I have dinner, kind of thing, and just be more intentional with what I'm doing. My fourth resolution is that I actually want to unhaul some books. So I have a lot of books. I have over 1,000 books just in this room, and a lot of them I love and a lot of them are like my babies, like my Lord of the Rings collection. However, there's also a lot of books that I've had since like childhood, and there's a lot of books I've had which have been given to me or gifted or something, and I just don't want to read them anymore. Like they're either not something I'm into, or I've read a bit of it and I've DNF'd it and I should probably get rid of it and I haven't. So I just need to go through my shelves and do a bit of an unhaul, which I'll probably end up filming for you and showing you what I get rid of as well. And this does mean that I will have more room for more books, because I'll have to get rid of some on the shelves too, and then I'll have more room on the shelves. So it's a little bit of a two-way resolution. My fifth resolution is to read more genres. I read a lot of fantasy, and especially last year I think nearly every book I read apart from a handful were fantasy based. I'm not saying I don't read other books, I do. I've got plenty behind me. Like I've got sci-fi, horror, thriller, contemporary, non-fiction, classics. Like I have the genres and I do enjoy reading them, and I have read them in the past, but I've realised that I'm sticking to fantasy a lot more recently, and I would like to kind of kick myself out of that habit a bit more and read a bit more widely, especially because I already own a lot of books that aren't fantasy, and they do need to be knocked off my TBR list, so we'll find out. But yeah, the fantasy is my main genre, but I am thinking of reading more sci-fi, thriller, contemporary and non-fiction specifically. One of my things is every day I'm going to try and read at least some pages of a non-fiction book, because I have quite a few. A lot of them can be quite, I don't want to say boring, but they can be quite, you have to think about it a lot more than I think for a fiction novel. So I just need time aside in the day where I'm going to read that every day in small chunks, so it's a bit more digestible. And yeah, that should be really fun. And then my last one is I want to read books that I purchase when I purchase them. So I've kind of got into the habit of like, I'll pick books up, like I'll go out, I'll see a bookstore, I'll go in and pop in and grab one. Or I'm feeling sad, so I'm going to do some retail therapy, so I order some books from online. And you know, and then I also pre-order a lot of books, and I'm just getting into the habit of I'm getting all these books delivered or picked up from the bookstore. I'm either getting loads of these books and then I'm not reading them, so like it just adds up as like books that are being left unread on my shelves. So one of the things I want to do next year is every time, I've already pre-ordered books for next year, every time I get a book in the mail I want to intentionally go, okay, so the next book I pick up is going to be this book. And then it's the same with any book that I see when I'm out. If I'm not intentionally going, okay, well, I'm going to read this right now, or I'm going to read this week, I don't buy it. I can add it to a wish list or something on my Amazon page, or I can add it to like a wish list or something, but I'm not going to buy it if I'm not going to read it straight away. And that's how I'm going to try and help my bank balance a little bit with this. So yeah, that's my 6 reading resolutions for 2023. Let me know if you guys have any goals for yourself this year, and if you wanted to see what like TBR on my TBR to kind of meet these goals, then do check out the blog post in the description, because it has all the details and a little sneak peek of what I'm going to be reading this year as well. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.